Is the music industry dying? Guys, this is a big topic, and I'm going to touch on a couple things today. You're going to want to stick around to the end because I got a few points that I think are going to prevent you from having your music get lost in the ocean that is the new music industry. What's up, guys? Lennon Bone here with soundandpatternsmusic.com. I'm here to help you make better music and to make that music your business. I do music business videos, tutorials, songwriting, composition, things like that. Feel free to check out some of the other videos. I got a card right here. If you dig this style of content, I would encourage you to consider subscribing. But let's dive right into this today. Is the music industry dying? So, you've written songs, you're making beats, you've got a record that you've finished or you're about to finish, and you're getting ready to put it out, and you've got a little plan together, and then all of a sudden you start hearing things like, well, the music industry's dead. Nobody's making any money out there anyway. The market's too oversaturated. Your buddy's complaining, saying he's not
part of the cool kid scene,
so nobody's coming out to his shows. All this negativity starts to creep up, and then you realize, you know, maybe the music industry's dead anyway. Maybe all this stuff isn't even worth putting time into. So why should I even put the energy into getting my stuff into the world? Well, I want to touch on this a little bit. This is practical advice that I think is going to push you ahead of the other musicians that are out there. But first, let's talk about the industry. Yes, the music industry is changing. There is no doubt about it. So what we see in the span of the last 10 years are these things that kind of come in and out of phase really quickly. Maybe in your age bracket, some of that stuff is YouTube or Instagram. These kinds of things that are coming in and starting to get really saturated with other artists. And it feels overwhelming. It feels like, you know, we may not be able to keep up. But here's the thing I think you have to remember. We have a limited time to really go after the things that we want to go after. So when we have these rules that are constantly changing, that means we get to write our own rules. We get to see what works in our own lives, in our own careers. And I want to talk quickly about two attributes that have helped me sustain a living in the music industry for the past 10 years. So attribute number one is self-awareness. Anthony DeMello said, "Wisdom tends to grow in proportion to one's awareness to one's ignorance." Isn't that cool? I mean, think about this. Oftentimes we get so caught up in what everybody else is doing, whatever is going on in our industry, that we forget to think about ourselves and the actions that we're taking. Without self-awareness, we'll never know where we actually stand against the other artists, producers, and musicians that are out there in the industry. And remember, we're always just trying to live up to our own taste. That is a lifelong journey, right? So we have to be patient with ourselves, but you also have to remember that unless you're making healthy comparisons, and I'm not talking about, you know, I'm here and so has a Ferrari, you know, what the heck's going on? I'm talking about taking your taste and understanding what you're trying to achieve, you know, with your craft, with all of these types of things, and then looking at what other people are doing and seeing where you can start to elevate your success, to start to elevate your actions. What can I take from here that encourages me to move myself up, to better myself, right? So this brings me to my second attribute, which is patience. Now, if you're really utilizing your self-awareness, you're gonna see that you have room for improvement. And sometimes knowing that we have that room for improvement can put us in a stall. We can feel like, okay, well, I need to wait till everything's perfect. The mix has to be just right. You know, we got to get everything ready before we put ourselves out there, right? The patience that I'm talking about is being prepared to move. Move now. Take action now. There's no reason that you should be waiting to put things into the world, okay? You can always improve, but you can still move. I'll say it again. You can always improve, but you can still move. You can still be moving. Think about this. When you bring somebody in to listen to your song for the first time, immediately you'll hear 5 or 6 things that you're like, oh, shoot, I should have changed that, right? And then all of a sudden that internal struggle starts to bubble up and you get insecure, and then you feel like,
maybe I shouldn't put this out, right?
No, think about this. When you're putting things into the world, you're gonna get that instant feedback, that guttural feedback immediately and 10 times over. Make forward progress and then be patient with yourself to make corrections as you move forward, as you continue to release your art. Now, I've said this in other videos before, but you have to be prepped to play the long game. This is not a quick sell. There is no quick path to success. There's no guarantees in the entertainment industry at all, but I can guarantee that if you have these two attributes, you are a lot more likely to succeed. So here's a couple action steps that you can take. I want you to go out, take this art that you've created, and then I want you to look at the artists that you admire. Take a look at how they prepped their stuff. What did they release when they put an album out? What's their social media channels look like? You know, what's the vibe that you're going for? Mimic some of those things. Be your own person, but find some things that are valuable to you that you can make your own and do those yourself. And then I want you to push hard. I want you to think of a goal that's 10 times what you actually want. So if you want to sell 100 records, let's say I want to sell 1,000 records in the next 3 months, okay? Not 100, but 1,000. Because which would you rather come up short on, 1,000 or 100? So change your mindset. Think about how you can push things out there. Get out and push hard for 3 months. Blinders on, you are in the trenches going. Do that for 3 months and then stop. Take a breath, and then take a look at what's worked and what hasn't. And then you can start to see there's probably gonna be about 20% of the things that are actually getting your stuff out there, and then you can start to put 80% of your effort into that 20% that's actually creating growth, creating interaction, creating income for you, right? All right, I know 3 months seems very daunting. In this time though, we're gonna be going through some new material. So if there's things that you wanna see in these videos, please leave your questions in the comments below. Let's get the dialogue going. This is for you guys. I want to dig deep into this stuff and bring you as much value as possible. Thanks so much again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.